Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to do a quick review on the oldest set of Farsport wheels I've got. This is a 38mm deep, 25mm wide, tubeless ready clincher. Not using it tubeless, don't really believe in tubeless, doesn't really work for me on road at least. So as I said, this is the oldest wheel set from Farsports I got. Purchased this about 5 years ago now, and so it's the longest standing wheel set I've been using from them, and I thought I'd do a long-term review. So in general, they're still going really well. I use them mainly in the UK. I use them all year round. As you can see, I'm just cleaning the bike, and this is one of their cheapest builds. 20 hole on the front, 24 on the rear, and yeah, I got this just to try them when they first started becoming popular basically. Like I said, this is one of the cheapest builds, so that came with the Bitex hubs, SAP CX Ray spokes, which obviously are my favourite. They work really well. If you watch my other wheel building videos, you know that I'm a massive fan of those. You can't really go wrong with SAP CX Rays. Now the hubs on this wheel set, probably the weakness. The front hub is okay, but it uses very small, I think they're 599 RS bearings. Now they're a non-standard bearing size, so you can't buy sealed bearings from SKF or NTN or something like that, because they just don't make them in that size. Or they do, but they don't have running seals, so maybe they do the size, but they're open kind of machine bearings designed to be kind of used on machine applications and lubricated by hand, so they won't work for a bike application. So I actually replaced these bearings myself with Enduro, because they're the only other make that did that size. Now they come with these they call them Japanese EZO bearings. Now I've had a few Bitex hubs with those in, and they just don't last. They're not very well greased either, but they just don't last. Now the rear wheel, I requested they build it 2-cross both sides, but they actually did radial on the non-drive side. Now that actually gives a really stiff wheel laterally, but it means that I've only got the drive side doing the torque transfer. Now in case of a 24-hole rear wheel, if you've only got one side to do the torque transfer, you've only got 6 leading spokes and 6 trailing spokes, so you've actually only got 6 spokes doing the pulling. Now that means the stress amplitude in those 6 spokes is higher than it would be if you had more spokes sharing the pulling, and so I don't expect them to last as well. But this rear wheel is very light and very stiff side to side, so I'm quite impressed by that actually. And on this wheel set, I didn't request it, but they did use brass spacers for the spoke heads, which is quite rare. I'm not sure if they're still doing that, but that was a nice touch. I did request they use black brass nipples, because I ride these wheels all year round, and if you use aluminium nipples through one winter and you're not cleaning the bike vigilantly, then they just won't last. So brass nipples, definitely the way forward. You could save about 40 grams off the wheel set if you wanted aluminium nipples. Now this wheel set comes in at 1435 grams. Now for me that's pretty light, and that's pretty nice considering they're 38mm deep. And I've retensioned them once, I think, since I had them. I've got about 100 kilos in the front wheel, and they're running absolutely true. The tolerances of the rim drillings are really good, which means that when the wheel is true, all the spokes more or less have equal tension, plus or minus sort of 10 kilos, and that's really good. So I'm very impressed by these wheels altogether. You know, I've bought other Farsports rims from them since. I tend to buy them rim only nowadays and build them onto my own hubs, because I don't want to pay the upcharge for their hubs, and I'm not a massive fan of these Bitex hubs. I am a fan, if you watch my other videos, of the Bitex RAF 12 front hub, because that's got much bigger standard bearings in it, whereas this one's got these small 599 bearings in each end, and the flange spacing on this front hub is quite narrow, so it's not quite stiff side to side. But the other Bitex, the RAF 12, I really do like, but I don't think Farsports will build with that, and they don't stock it as an option, so that's why I started to buy rim only off them. But overall, these wheels are still going really well. They're very stiff. The braking surface, you know, I'm using these in the UK, so there's not that many big mountains to worry about braking on. The temperature never gets very hot ambient, so you don't really have to worry about that and the heat from braking. So I've just not had a problem with them braking wise. They do squeak a bit depending what pads you use, but the rim surface is holding up well. I try not to use them too much in winter, but you know, like I said, it's mainly flat in the UK compared to other countries, so the rims really don't get that much of a hard work. And as long as you keep the brake pads clean kind of periodically, then it should last a fair while. So overall I'm very impressed with them, and like I said, I've been using more Farsports rims since I bought these. And you know, I'm sure Farsports make for a lot of brands, and I did actually ask some reps from Farsports, you know, what other brands are you making for, and are you making wheels for such and such brand or this brand? And their answer was, you know, to protect the integrity of our brands, we can't comment, which I'm sure you'll agree means yes, we are making for that brand. Genuinely, like, that's what that sort of thing means. But overall, yeah, really rate these.